The Dream 3 podcast back in your life once again for another episode 19. We got a couple special guests with us today. We'll get to that here in a bit. But first off, you got to thank the sponsors. You got to thank the people that support us. Starting out with Slab Savers, protectyourslab.com. Use code DREAM3 to get 10% off your order. Go to Graded Card Solutions, gradedship.com. If you use code DREAM15, you get 15% off your order. And if you shipped 45 cards today like I did, you got to use that code so you can get all those products. And finally, if you need to sell your raw cards or your graded cards, go to Prospect Cards. That's www.prospect.cards.com. If you use the referral code DREAM3 when you register, you get 0% seller's fee for the first 2 months. So take advantage of those guys. And finally, if you like golf attire, if you like the golden era of golf, check out Nation Golf Company, nationgolfco.com. Great guys out of San Clemente, California. They had a great Black Friday deal going on right now. So if you like that stuff, go ahead and check them out. But Neil, we'll jump right into it. Your Rams, they look terrible today. It's okay. The Colts look not as good either. So
I didn't realize it. We're 7-4 on the year. It's about kind of what I thought we'd be a little better than that, but I mean, we're in the playoff hunt.
That's all that matters.
The division, we're gonna make the playoffs, so just gear up for that.
Hopefully that's all that matters. I believe is jumping into that playoff hunt. I mean, the Colts are chasing. Everybody, the Colts are chasing the Titans, who we really need to lose about 1,000 games, and started today. But big time players need to step up. Colts
aren't the Patriots the 1 seed right now?
The Patriots are the 1 seed. They are 6-0 at the moment.
Mac Jones for president.
Mac Jones on the way to the top. But let's jump right into our guests today. We started at the beginning of the year, and we mentioned this on the podcast before. So we took fantasy football in a different light. If you want to kind of explain to everybody how we did our fantasy football sports card related this year, kind of jump back into that and let them know what we've done.
Yeah, so we did mentioned this earlier in the year. We started right at the beginning of the season doing like a fantasy football draft, but instead of drafting players on fantasy, we drafted cards, and we drafted a player's PSA 10 base, whatever, rookie card or whatnot. So there's 4 of us. Our 2 guests, Alex and Justin Squinson, Robbie Sports Cards. Robbie's Cards. So we're playing that game, and what we did was he drafted a quarterback, a running back, and then the last one was kind of your flex play, and it was kind of just based upon what is the maximum profit margin you can make in a year, or make over the course of the season. So we'll kind of dive into kind of what it looks like right now, who picked who, and what that looks like, and what our numbers look like right now. So
basically, we're going to allow Robbie's Cards to defend his picks, because we've all been pretty critical of his picks lately. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to bring Squints, and we're going to bring Robbie's Cards into the show right now. So guys, welcome to the podcast. Squints, welcome back. Alex, welcome on.
Hey, first off, let's do this. Alex, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you kind of collect and how you got into the card space, and then we'll dive into our little game. Just because you're a first-time guest,
we'll put you on the spotlight. I appreciate it. So my name's Alex at Robbie's Cards on Instagram, I'm by nature I'm a therapist, a mental health counselor, and I have my own private practice, but cards was kind of a side gig, I guess, and it really got started in 2020 when I went home and found some old cards of mine that I collected when I was a kid, and that included a LeBron Topps rookie and a 1999 Charizard Holo. So that kind of got me started, and I honestly started with like $500 in my PayPal on those cards, and I've kind of built it into what I have today, which is a fairly decent collection, I would say. personal collections, Tiger Woods, as these guys know. National, first time I went since like 2014, this past year. But mostly I collect basketball, a little bit of football, and Tiger Woods. Is kind of my interests, and yeah, that's where I'm at.
You got a pretty sweet 101 Tiger, and then you have a what grade is it? Is it a 9 rookie Tiger rookie auto?
Yeah, so I have the 2013 Master Collection, 101, and a 9.5, which is incredible because that card is like an inch thick, I swear. But yeah, then I have the SP Authentic, the true Tiger rookie auto, which was a card I've wanted for a long, long time. So
those are grail cards for sure. Maybe I'll have to buy one eventually if I can sell some of my stupid stuff. So
well, it's hard right now.
Yeah, so. The holidays are a killer right now. People are buying way too many gifts. They need to spend more money on cards, let's be honest. Cards are an investment. Gifts are just trash.
I mean, to a point, for sure. But if somebody bought me a Tiger for a gift, I wouldn't complain too much.
Yeah, that's true. If you're listening, Sarah, if you can find tickets to the Masters, that's a good idea. Just saying. So
yeah, speaking of that, my fiance had bought me Michigan Ohio State tickets for my birthday.
That's right. You did send us that picture. That was pretty sweet.
That was a pretty good gift.
Yeah, I'm sure Michigan decided to set the town on fire after that win. I know Harbaugh is probably sweating it out all the way to the end.
I was sweating it out all the way to the end. It was, when are we gonna fall off? So
I'll put it this way. As an Ohio State hater, I loved seeing Michigan win finally, because I cannot stand the delusional Ohio State Buckeye fans here in this state, and I just love to laugh at them and what they think is a good team every single year, and then they just get railed in the playoffs. It's nice to see some good blood, new blood in there.
Yeah, certainly as a Michigan fan, it's uncharted territory since, early 2000s being this good.
So was the last time that Michigan won was Denard Robinson was the quarterback of the team?
Yeah, 2011, 10 years ago.
So, in that rivalry, obviously, for any sports rivalry, somehow, some way you end up picking a side. I have no investment of either team, but I tend to lean on the Michigan side more than the Ohio State. Even though I'm from Indiana, I hate Notre Dame and I hate IU. For some reason, I pull towards Purdue, but I'm also a Miami Hurricanes fan. So there's that. But it's nice to see, like Neil said, new blood. It's not a rivalry if, somebody wins 10 straight times. That's an ass kicking. In the words of the great Pat Tillman, that's a nice, swift ass kicking. Yeah. So finally that, Michigan gets off the hump. Harbaugh finally gets some credibility to his name as a coach, of being able to beat the rivals, even though him and Michigan State kind of go back and forth. But finally get one against Ohio State. That's great for recruiting. Now, what makes it interesting to me, and another reason why I wish Alabama would have lost, if Auburn could have closed the door, how interesting this is going to make the college football playoffs. Now, it's going to expand the conversation of should the playoff system be more than 4 teams? Absolutely. Now, who's going to get screwed? Is it going to be Cincinnati? Is it going to be Notre Dame? Who's going to be, Neil, I'll start with you. Who do you think are going to be the 4 teams in there? You're going to have Michigan. You're going to have Georgia. Who else?
It'll be Georgia. Georgia will beat Alabama, and then Georgia will play number 1. Michigan will win their conference game, hopefully. They'll be number 2. Cincinnati will be 3, and then Oklahoma State will probably jump to 4 because they're in the Big 12 championship, right?
Yeah.
And they play Baylor?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, they'll win that game. So there's your 4. That's my guess. Because they're not going to want they're not probably going to want the best game. Like, to be 1 versus 4. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Oh, for sure.
So we'll see what happens. That's my guess right now. Just kind of way the cards might fall. Alabama doesn't look very strong, so I think Georgia beats them. Fine. And what is it? Is it like any coach who's coached for Nick Saban hasn't beat him?
Yeah.
Is that Kirby Smart finally gets the one.
No, it was Jimbo who got the one this year.
Oh, he did.
It
Yeah,
was I think
Texas
that was the first one.
Oh well, all the dominoes are falling then. Kirby Smart's the next one.
I mean, they don't look good. Bama does not look like a
No.
Bama team.
No, Auburn should have won that game too. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
But well, let's get back into our fantasy game. So we all drafted a quarterback, a running back, and then some kind of flex player. Caleb, you have the numbers in front of you and the players.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just go around and kind of, why don't you give off who each person drafted to start?
Okay, just to start off with the draft wise, I went with obvious choice Tom Brady, Bowman Chrome PSA 10.
Yep.
Then I went with Aaron Jones Prism PSA 10. And these
Okay.
are all rookie cards. And Devontae Adams, the Topps Chrome PSA 10. Squints went with Sam Darnold Prism PSA 10. Then we have Dalvin Cook, who got carted off today, Prism PSA 10. And then out of the blue, choke slamming people like the Undertaker today, Aaron Donald Topps Chrome PSA 10.
Hey, he gets away with it too.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do, I guess. Then we have the Doughboy Sports Cards. Neil went with Jalen Hurts PSA 10. And then Nick Chubb Prism. And then Calvin Ridley Prism PSA 10.
Yeah, it doesn't even play right now.
Yeah, and then finally we go out with Robbie's cards, Tua Prism, Saquon Barkley Prism, and Odell Beckham Jr. Prism.
Let's start this off. Alex, what were you thinking?
I was thinking guys who have a media following, right? Pretty big media following, and I was betting on the potential. Right, they're low, and I was just going straight potential. Like if Tua would have started off the season with kind of how Jalen Hurts started off the season, right, with 3 touchdowns, that would have skyrocketed, Dolphins to the playoffs because they have an okay roster, or else so we thought. And then Odell, I mean, all I thought it would take would be one-handed catch, and it could double because it was $70 at the start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think it was that crazy, and then I thought Saquon was going to come back and be okay, but he's still hurt, and
he's trying to be Superman over in New York because he's playing with a dirty brown trash water as his teammates.
Yeah, so it was certainly a high risk, high reward, and it did not pan out for anyone. So
yeah, hey, it happens. Hey, I will say this though. If Odell can put together, obviously nothing's working out today for the Rams, but he did catch a 50, 60-yard touchdown pass. If he can get some things stringing together towards the end of the season, put up a decent 100-yard game, 100-yard game, 2 touchdowns, something like that, I think you still could see a pretty good spike with Odell, especially being in LA, better roster, more city, more attention to him. I think you definitely could see Odell. Odell on the Browns is like, okay, you can take a flyer, but when he got traded to the Rams, I think that gave your cards kind of a potential boost, a better potential boost, for sure.
I mean, everything you got to do with Odell, it gives you almost a potential boost. But here's the problem. To me, he's like a Chad Johnson, a Terrell Owens. He's more of a distraction than a good player. I mean, congrats. You're going to get 150-yard bomb out of the next 50 passes to him, because now he's going to command a double coverage on the backside. At least you're going to have somebody playing over the top and a corner playing with him.
So what are you going to do? Leave Cooper Kupp wide open?
I mean, you're going to have to play man-to-man on the backside then.
And then you have Van Jefferson, who's taken over for the Robert Woods position.
And you're going to have to force Odell Beckham Jr. the ball, or his dad's going to make 11-minute YouTube videos and start creating more, just like the Browns, man.
I think Justin and Alex can both agree that Stafford is an upgrade from what Jared Goff is.
100%.
Yeah. I think watching Jared Goff play for your Lions team, you know how I feel now about Jared Goff.
Yeah, Justin, take it away.
Yeah, it's just like there's so many times, in the beginning of the year, Neil, I remember messaging you and I'm like, I can, he doesn't look completely lost. And as the season's gone on, it's ridiculous. There's so many times where he just has to throw the ball away and doesn't. Or, the Lions' run blocking has actually been pretty good this year. But the pass protection has been suspect. And Jared Goff, it looks like he thinks he's like a mobile quarterback at times. And that's what drives me the most crazy, is he's not throwing the ball away. He's trying to, bounce around in the pocket like crazy. And it's like every time it's a sack, it's a fumble. It's just the turnovers are just, yeah. The Lions are unwatchable at this point.
It's kind of like when I went into every game with Jared Goff, I was like, well, he's probably gonna force he's probably gonna have 2 turnovers himself. So let's just hope we win the turnover battle and maybe win the game. We're fighting 10 points down essentially.
Ever since that tie against the Steelers and Mason Rudolph, that the Lions were trying to lose that game. I'm convinced. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I believe you. I believe you on that.
So with you guys being Lions fans, what's your thoughts on Motor City Dan Campbell as your head coach? Like, I can't get a good feel for him. Like, he seems like a player type coach. Now, I remember watching him on Hard Knocks when he was with the Dolphins as a tight end coach and kind of seeing him come up throughout the league. He's one of those guys now, like right when you get hired, what do you do as a head coach? You make some crazy statement, biting kneecaps off and stuff like that. But, some players react to that. Some players, back your guy like that. But, being what 09 and 1 or whatever the record is like, is he the right fit for the job, or should you have never got rid of Jim Caldwell in the first place?
You want to take this one, Alex?
Well, I may have a different position, so we may both have to get into this. But
yeah,
so I'm a huge Caldwell stan and fan. So I was heartbroken when they got rid of him, because I grew up, my first few years I remember Barry Sanders, but then obviously the abrupt retirement, and then for almost a decade basically they were nothing, and then a decade plus, and then Caldwell comes along and we make the playoffs a few times. We're 500 or better, and it was nice. And then people wanted more, which I get. And then the hiring of Matt Patricia was just disastrous. But I think people are pretty fed up with Dan Campbell at this point too, just based on the fact that he can't manage a football game like people maybe thought he would or could. He's made some blunders, especially the back-to-back timeouts in a crucial point on Thanksgiving, so for everyone in the country to see. So that was nice, and take over the play calling. And he doesn't have really any play calling history. I don't know. It's interesting, but he was not certainly built for success this year. That roster is probably the worst one I've ever seen. And back to Jared Goff, I don't think he's the answer, but he's certainly not been set up to succeed either. Can you guys name, a receiver that he has? Josh Reynolds is their best guy, and he was on the Rams, a few years ago, and he just was picked up off the street. It's rough in Detroit right now, and that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, kind of to build off that, I completely agree with Jim Caldwell. I thought he was an awesome coach. Kind of fast forwarding through the history as you took us down, kind of today to Dan Campbell. I don't think he's a smart coach. I really don't, but I do think the team's playing hard. Kind of like you said, I know the talent is horrible. Up and down this roster for the most part, aside from Swift and Hawkinson some games. But looking like some of the play calls are just wild to me. You know, 3rd and long, running the ball up the middle against, the last few games they played, they've done that consistently. They don't trust Goff to throw. In an overtime game, to throw 25 times, and to need to lead a drive and you're around, midfield and running the ball in 3rd and long. Goff's terrible, but you don't win the game by, picking up a 3rd and 12 on the ground. So I like the culture that was created, but you see a lot of success like Sean McVay and some of these other guys with kind of that mastermind to them. And I think Campbell came in with kind of that grit and that badass nature, which is great. But whether it's an offensive coordinator or something, I think we need some more brains in general in Detroit.
I personally think it's going to start with the ownership down. Everybody knows that Sheila Ford is not, she's too involved as an owner. And I could tell that from the Matt Patricia time there because it was weekly meetings with the owner. Think about that as almost like a Jerry Jones, not letting your personnel do what they're supposed to do. Not saying that, they're right, you're the owner, it's your money, this and that, but you have to trust the people that you put in position to do that job. Now, I also do think that, the Calvin Johnson curse is real. Like, pay the man the $1 million that you owe him, and I bet that things change. But still, you have to have great people in great positions, whether it be the coaching staff or whether you do something through the draft. I do agree that Jared Goff is not the quarterback, but he's like Carson Wentz. He'll get you to where you need to go for a certain period of time, but you should be looking for the future. But they have players like DeAndre Swift. I agree that they need wide receiver help. Offensive line's not terrible and they built through the draft. Play a little bit of defense and get some, maybe a superstar or two, and you might be able to change things around.
Yeah, I'll say just from an outside perspective, the Lions are a team that played really hard. I think you hit the nail on the head with that. They have played the toughest as an 0 and whatever team. If they end up going 0-16-1, they will be probably the toughest, 0-16-1 team ever because they'd be the only one. But for a team that's that bad, they've definitely played pretty tough football, and they've been in every single game. What was it, week 1, they came back from like 28 points down and had a chance to win against the 49ers, and you almost beat the Ravens, and on a last second, broken play, you give up that, and then a 66-yard doinker to break the NFL record. It's kind of like you very well could have like been on the other side of things, and I think it's a combination of a little bit of bad luck. But I will say 100% Dan Campbell's got at least you guys playing hard football, trying to win games. And yes, I agree, the talent on your guys' roster is minimal, but you're working with what you got. Right. It's just what you got is nothing.
Harsh reality. We gave you everything we had.
I know.
No kidding.
And right now he looks like Jared Goff. I mean,
you can take him out of Detroit, but you can't take the Detroit out of him, right?
You are 100% right. We just have to limit how much Detroit comes out.
Well, who did I see that was playing today? First, Amir Abdullah was playing today, but obviously not for Detroit. I had no idea he was still in the NFL.
He is.
Was it Amir Abdullah that got launched through the air and got knocked unconscious, or was that?
I
was
think
Javid
you're right.
Best.
Or no, it was Javid Best.
Javid
And that
Best.
ended his
career.
God, he was supposed to be so good, and he was good.
Right.
Amir Abdullah was pretty good. I think he was just kind of one of those gadget players like Cordero Patterson.
Mm-hmm.
And those gadget players are
problem.
tough to put in and scheme with.
It was the fumbles, Neil. It was the fumbles that really got to Detroit. I mean, his first year. Yeah, he had 5 fumbles and 143 rushes his first year. It just felt like every game he was getting, 15 touches, he'd fumble the ball.
Well, tell him
Or
to go to the
below.
Tiki Barber School of holding the football and high and tight and hold that thing with two
Right.
hands and run to the end zone with two hands on the ball. Like, if that's what you got to do it.
Not the LaShawn McCoy style, having it way out.
Yeah, I am thoroughly impressed at how he has managed to not fumble the football, holding it
I am
like
too.
Michael Vick.
I know.
Well, I mean,
Amazing.
Darius Hayward Bay couldn't catch, but somehow he had a career that spanned from 2009 to 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brashad Perryman too.
Well, that's because he's with the Raiders, and the Raiders just want people who smoke a lot of weed and go way too fast in a car or outside of a car.
That happens.
Jeez.
But look at Jalen Rager. Jalen Rager now leads.
Oh,
What is it? 21 drops. 21 drops this year. Like, you're in the NFL, man.
And a
Like,
pretty big one
21
today too.
drops.
and I was thinking about that today, watching the Colts and Michael Pittman Jr. dropping 3 balls. And that was his biggest thing coming out of college, like the drops, the easy drops. And he drops 3 perfectly spot on balls. It's like, what do you do at the facility all day? Catch balls out of the jugs machine, catch balls from Carson Wentz. Do it in the game. You're getting paid to do it in the game. Just do it in the game, please.
Hey, when the
Please.
pressure's on, some people their PP shrivels a little bit. You know.
Should be a first round pick with PP shriveling.
Hey,
Sometimes you just gotta lay it out on the table, let them all see it.
yeah. Well,
That's what you should do.
apparently he's not blessed.
No, he's not. But let's get back to our fantasy stats and kind of see where the progression is so far in our money to kind of base where we're heading.
Yeah, I did percentages. So you have the notes in front of you, right, Caleb?
I have the percentages. You did not do the percentages on mine, but whatever.
I didn't.
Nope.
It's out to the right.
Yeah, I don't have it.
You don't have anything?
I have percentages on. Well, you did one for Devontae, but you have it for everybody else except for me. But that's cool. Whatever. I don't like you either.
Oh, that's because you only had one percentage.
Ah, okay.
Because the rest of them were zeros.
Wait,
Whatever.
even the Brady's down?
No, the Brady was the only one that was up. Devontae
Oh, gotcha.
Adams and Aaron Jones have been negatives.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I just
you're right.
listed those as zeros.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So the Brady started the season at 20,000. We're up to 24.5, which is 7.1% increase.
That's your average increase is 7.1. For the
And-
Brady, it's a 21.3% increase.
And just like Neil said, the Aaron Jones and the Devontae Adams are both down.
Yep.
Aaron Jones from 218 to 200, and then Devontae's 134.
And they could be lower than that. That's just the peak number that they've hit outside of when we started.
Mhm.
So they've
So-
gone downhill.
Okay, so now we're going to move over to Squints. We're going to go Sam Darnold, the 120 to peak 182.12, which is a 51.8% increase.
Did you expect that?
No, not really.
That was week 3. He had a 51% jump. That was right when they were 3-0 going to play the Cowboys.
Yeah,
and then-
like I know a lot of his like more rare stuff jump, but I didn't realize his base prism went up 50%. That's crazy.
Yeah. You know what's funnier? You know how much a PSA 10 Sam Darnold did the last time it sold?
$23.
Yeah, $22.
$22?
That's so
$22.
Uh-oh.
Damn.
That's okay.
Wasn't
I have where is it? I have that optic red and yellow that I can't get rid of now.
You just need to put it on eBay. For
I did. I did.
99-cent bid.
I put it at a 99-cent bid, and I had no bids and I had no watchers.
I'll buy. Just send me the link. I'll buy it for $1.
Oh, okay. Now we got Dalvin Cook, Prism, PSA 10. So we started at 170. It peaked at 200, which is 17.6% increase. Now Dalvin Cook did get carted off the field today with seemed to be leg injury.
Not good.
Yep.
Not good. And then Neil's boy, Aaron Donald, Topps Chrome PSA 10, went from 204 to 214. which is a 4.8% increase. So Squints has a 24.7% total increase in his cards. Not
That's
bad.
pretty healthy profit margin.
Not
Yeah, I'll
bad
take
at
that.
all.
Would you take 24% on all the stuff that you own right now and 24% profit?
Yep.
100%.
I'd
Especially in
be
this
happy
market.
with a 10% loss at this point.
Yeah. Well, because I can get you a lot in this market.
Oh
Say
yeah.
what?
Like I was, like even if you take a loss right now, right? Cash is at such a scarcity in the hobby. It's almost like just take a loss if you can get into LeBron or somebody that's way down.
Yeah, if you can get into Curry,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
whew,
Yep. All right, so we moved to Doughboys cards. We got Jalen Hurts. Started at 194.50. It peaked at 350, which is a 79.9% increase.
Was it after week 1?
I think it was. It was like right. It was like right then. It was that first week. He threw it at like 4 touchdowns and like 380 total yards. And didn't they smack like the Falcons or something?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They smacked, or no, it was the Titans, wasn't it? They smacked the Titans by like 30. Yeah.
Your second card was Nick Chubb, the Prism PSA 10. Started the season at 160 and moved up to peak at $175, which is a 9.4% increase. And then finally, this one kind of blows my mind, is Calvin Ridley. Started at 125.50 preseason and peaked at 140, which is 11.6% increase.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that one, to be honest. And I think it was just like, I mean, Calvin Ridley's done nothing all year.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So someone must have saw that, like right at the beginning of the season. Like he must have had like a touchdown or something. They're like, "Oh, Calvin Ridley's the only guy. Maybe I should go buy one."
So your total percentage is your plus 33.6%, which is not bad.
It's wonderful. I'd take that too.
Yeah. And then quick question from Dugenet, which I'm sure you guys saw. Will Cook getting carted off hurt his value?
We'll find out when we see the MRI.
Yeah, severity is gonna be key.
Yep. If he's out the rest of the year, it's gonna plummet.
And
then
everything is right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then finally, Robbie's card. So Tua, we started the year. Okay, we started the year at $232.50, and then it peaked at $234.19, which is a 0.7% increase.
Let's go.
We're going up. Hey, we're positive. Positive is always good. Saquon Barkley, the Prism PSA 10, started the year at 151.17 and peaked at 175. 157. Sorry, 157. So 151 to 157. That's a 3.9% increase. And Odell Beckham, the Prism PSA 10, started the season at 76 and moved up to 86, which is a 13.1% increase. Total being plus 5.9%. So
I can honestly see Odell being the one to take the biggest jump over the next 7 weeks.
I mean, if he makes a big catch in a big game, or has a big game in, round 1 of the playoffs or something, and that's why, that's why my rationale is he's going to be all over the media, right?
Yep.
People are getting, drawn to him. And that was the thing. And, that's kind of my high risk, high reward.
I think Tua's numbers are better if he doesn't get hurt at the beginning of the season and Jacoby steps in.
100%.
Agreed.
I mean, he's shown that he can play football and he's a dynamic player.
Yeah. Didn't you say at the beginning of the year, you're like, oh, Tua's trash. Jacoby Brissett's going to start.
I said Tua's injury prone and Jacoby would start by week 3.
When they played the Colts?
Oh yeah.
You were
What it was like week 4 by the time, but what did I buy? So I don't want to hear it. Well, I jumped on the bandwagon too. So
I couldn't.
Well,
Yeah,
I jumped on the Dak bandwagon at the National, and then I sold it for $50 more than I got it to the man down in the bottom right.
Well, anybody want to jump on the Sam Darnold train, or is everybody jumping off that? Like,
I'm off.
I'm off.
I
I
will
got my
give
50%. I'm out.
you, I will give you one Dominican peso for Sam Darnold.
Like Neil, here's my only Dak card. So I guess you can say I'm kind of on the Dak train.
I until they went down their roller coaster of losing games, he looked pretty good.
He did.
You know,
He did. I mean,
He's a good player.
he's a good player. I don't think McCarthy's a great coach, but I think the team itself is really good.
28 penalties on Thanksgiving Day doesn't help make me want to. That doesn't help them beat the Raiders, which they should have 100%.
Yeah, I understand. So let's do this. So we've gone through what 12 weeks of the season at this point.
Yep.
Who's your MVP? I can honestly say I don't even know who's the MVP at this point.
I'll tell you who my MVP is. Jonathan freaking Taylor.
Not after today.
Still got a touchdown.
Okay.
8 consecutive games with 100 yards rushing. He was 3 yards away from being 9 consecutive games with 100-yard rushing and a touchdown, which would be an NFL record.
Well, but it wasn't.
He's a second-year player.
Okay. His career's only going to last a few more years anyway.
Did you see, speaking of, and I'm just thinking about this because obviously I was at the game today. Did you see Vita Vea's tooth get knocked out on TV?
No, I didn't get to see that. I was dealing with a 10-month-old who thought he was Aaron Donald.
So his helmet gets pushed up. His chin strap is on about where his lips are, and Quentin Nelson ducks his head, hits him square, and then teeth come flying out on national TV.
That's
and he just runs
nasty.
the sidelines and
That's
sprays
great.
water in it and goes back in there. It's just like,
That's gross.
That's a hockey move. I love it.
Bad.
That's a nice hockey move.
So, all right. MVP, Neil, give me a guess. Somebody.
Well, here's the thing. Let's do this. Who do we think the MVP is now? And then who do we think it will be at the end of the year?
Okay.
So I guess if you had to give the MVP award out now, I would probably say Kyler. He's shown that he's undefeated this year. He hasn't lost a game.
Yeah. That's not a bad. They got the best record in football.
He's the most deserving.
Yeah, he's been playing pretty lights out. Well, when he's healthy.
He's been on He's been out for 3 games, but they went 2-1, and they're still the best record in football. Like,
What
What about Aaron Rodgers? That's kind of the name that jumps out to me, especially after today.
yeah, but he didn't play. I mean, he played decent. Yeah, I'll give you that. He played decent today. They ran the ball well. I think that's what helped them more than anything.
And they have a good defense this year too.
Yeah, they have a really good defense. Yeah, I've told Jared this. I've said Aaron Rodgers has no excuse now. If he can't win with that defense, then don't ever talk to me again about this Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT. Because he's not. He's trash. He looks like white trash. He's homeless.
He does.
He's bad.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm with Caleb on this. I think I would say Jonathan Taylor right now. I think he's the only name that jumps out of me of like someone who's super impressed me this year. Really, I mean, I think it's such just and in most years it's a quarterback. So by the end of the year, I'm sure it'll be a quarterback unless Jonathan Taylor puts up some really dumb numbers. But Kyler and Rodgers have both missed games, and I think in the end that may hurt them, but it's not going to be a strong year for MVP at this point, I don't think.
Yeah, there's no front runner. I'm not really sure how it's all going to pan out in the end either.
My only argument against Jonathan Taylor was the only running back you've heard about this year was Derrick Henry until his injury.
Yeah,
right.
that's
So
true.
not that
Derrick
Jonathan Taylor
Henry-
hasn't been amazing, but Derrick Henry through 8 games was the MVP in my opinion.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
then to suddenly shift to a different running back 4 weeks later is kind of tough for me.
That's a good point, Justin.
Would
Derrick Henry was the reason why the Titans were the best team in football.
and I hate to throw his name out there, but would you also consider Tom Brady being the MVP right now?
Always. He's the GOAT.
I mean, he's got a 67.1% completion rating. He's thrown for 3,100 yards. You know, he's throwing for 317 a game. He's got 29 touchdowns and 8 picks. I mean, it's hard to deny that.
Did you also see his hurdle last week?
I did. Still athletic at 42.
That's right. Probably more athletic than I'll be at 42.
But even I think before the Colts game, I probably would have put Josh Allen in possible MVP. He was playing that way, and then it just seemed like something fell off. I mean, he's got a 66% completion rating. He's thrown for 3,000 yards. He's got 25 TDs, 10 picks. I mean, he's number 2 to Brady. But when you think who's going to be the MVP, who's going to lead their team deep into the playoffs? You got to think Tom Brady. They got a terrible division they got to play in. I mean, they're basically the tops of the NFC.
Yep.
Because you could have said at the beginning of the season, we all kind of thought Seattle, you know, we didn't really believe in the Cardinals that much.
No,
Now
I'm going to be honest. I still don't believe in the Cardinals.
I don't believe in them in the playoffs. That's a whole
No.
different ballgame.
Exactly.
Because not very many of those guys, you know, have seen a playoff game. Now you got J.J. Watt, who, shocker, is out for the season. But, you know, we need DeAndre Hopkins to step up. We need when he needs to be healthy. But I'm going to probably say Tom Brady, as much as I don't want to say it.
I'm going to say at the end of the year, it's going to come down to Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. As bad as Patrick has played, he starts to play well again. They get to the 2 seed or whatever, the 1 seed in the AFC. People start getting on the Patrick Mahomes train again.
So
I think-
invest in your Patrick Mahomes cards now.
Yeah,
I have 0.
you can't be too upset about that right now.
Yeah,
It's a good time to buy, though.
it is. It is.
It is.
He's one of those guys where if he puts together 2 or 3 games where he's throwing 300 yards and 4 touchdowns and lights it up, his stuff's going to jump.
Mm-hmm.
People love him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
So-
the only thing, though. I think that's kind of the weakness of his cards, too, Neil, is he's such a fan favorite that he's held to this standard where if he has 2 bad, weeks in a row, or if he loses a playoff game, people are going to jump off the train, or, they have this expectation that it's like it's a safe yet current investment that's only going to go up.
Yeah.
Where I think, we see it as like, over the course of a career, Tom Brady's, he hasn't won the Super Bowl every year. It feels like it, but there's going to be seasons that are going to feel a little off, and I think we felt that to start the year, and the market kind of responded that way, and it's really unfair, to be honest.
No, I'm with you. I think the volatility in Patrick Mahomes' cards can be a good thing, but agreed, it can also be a bad thing where he doesn't play well and people fall off the bandwagon. I think it's a product of today's market, and that people are very, very quick, probably a little too quick to react on anything. I mean, if like Mahomes' cards go off the deep end when he's he's 1 game out of first place in the division, and if he goes on a win streak, they end up getting the number 1 seed. And people are like, "Oh, let's drop his prices by 50%," and then those same people will buy back those prices and watch it go back up to 10% over what it was. It'll be $11,000 by playoff time if they make the 1 seed.
So that's a good point where we can kind of jump into a different topic. So the volatility of that, do you believe that is pushed by by newer people in the card market just trying to make profit, or is it by premium collectors and investors?
Well, hold on. Alex, who's your MVP?
At the end of the year?
Yeah.
I don't think Rodgers wins back to back, and I do think it's gonna be Brady. And you can, there's some stuff going on. You can mute me if you have to, but I think it could be Brady, or Josh Allen if he gets his stuff together.
I think it's fair. Safe
Mhm.
bets. Okay.
Yeah.
Volatility. What do you guys think? Squints, Justin, Alex, what do you guys think? Why is the reason why stuff just gets shipped off in a blink of an eye?
Are you saying like people's prices going down or like crashing?
Go up, go down on
so
daily
violently, not just like, not a dip over time, but like people see a bad game and automatically hit the sell button, and you see a crash before it comes back up for another good game. Is that the product of people just looking for the quick flip profit, or is it collectors trying to just maybe move up to a different card?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it kind of depends. Like on a high-end standpoint, I think there is a lot of like investment and kind of hedge fund mentality. Even with the whole card market kind of going down, we still see a lot of the grails that are selling for record prices, and I think that's kind of like the investor side. I think the lower end base stuff, that's definitely kind of the flipper mentality, right? Like people bought Sam Darnold prisms not to hold them for 10 years, but to flip them hopefully during the season. So I think it kind of depends. Like the higher level you get, those are like grail investment type things. The lower end stuff is much more of like a liquid stock, so to speak.
I would agree with that. I think the people who've been in the hobby like me and you, Caleb, and I will say Justin, you're probably a part of this too. Before the boom, like we were there before the boom. We're not as seasoned as the true collectors who have been here a little longer than us, but I will say that there is a lot more influencers and investors who will buy and sell like almost day trading, and I think that their influence on the hobby pushes the volatility of the market. And I will also say new blood to the market is also about the quick flip too. So yes, both sides of the coin, but I almost think it's not exactly collectors as much as it's the influencers or the people who've been long in the hobby who are trying to,
the sneakerheads coming over,
the sneakerheads, or like
Shoot,
I don't want to
me.
name names, but the people
Me.
who are out to promote their own business.
I mean, I like I said, I started with $500 and a LeBron Tops and a Charizard and some Pokemon, and I did the day trading through all of 2020 and all through nationals of 2021 before I really got to know you guys, and you guys were like, go, be safe, and I kind of transitioned a lot of the Brandon Ingrams and some Zion, even though I'm holding some still, and some Ja and some of those.
We're
guys
getting
who
to
was
Zion.
like,
Don't. I'm not letting that one go.
That's fine. But and then transition that to LeBron and Tiger, obviously, and Russell Wilson, for a while is more steady market, more proven guys.
The GOAT.
Jesus.
Sorry,
you should have put up the Muhammad Ali pre-Parkinson's.
But it's certainly gotten really volatile and has dipped quite a bit in terms of the day trading, and
there you go.
It was so easy to move pretty much anything. I was doing fire sales on Facebook every week, and I was selling thousands of dollars worth of cards. But now I've shrunk my inventory quite a bit and gotten bigger cards that I think have a better value through this holiday dip or pre-Masters hype maybe. that sort of thing. So
Long
Yeah.
better long-term investments. It's like buying Apple stock versus buying Dogecoin or Shiba or whatever else you want to call
But I
it.
feel like that's the move that we all kind of make. Like we first, as soon as we get into it, why do we all get into it? Not, not because of just the love, but it's like I can make a quick buck. I can flip. And then once you start gaining that knowledge about the hobby and what it can do for you long term, and you start building a base of peers that have different ideas, then I feel like we all got kind of smarter of, what I need to invest in Tiger, in Brady, in LeBron, in Jordan, in Gretzky, and these guys here and there for, I'm thinking, not mid through the season. I'm thinking, 5, 10, 15 years down the road.
Yeah.
And I can,
Yeah, but we all I would say we all still have that one love, original PC, day one PC that's not exactly about the money, but it's about the enjoyment and the hobby and the collecting. Like for me, it's Aaron Donald and it's Colorado Avalanche players. Like that's just stuff that, like, I don't care. I don't even care what the value is. You could tell me that a cracked ice Aaron Donald sold for $10,000, and I'm still going to sit on my Aaron Donald cracked ice at $10,000. Like I just don't care. And I'm sure it's the same way with Justin. I'm sure it's the same way with you with boxing and MMA, and Alex with Tiger. Like I totally understand it, but I think I'm not saying we're a part of the good side of the hobby. I'm just saying don't get in it just to invest and make a buck, because those people get weeded out. But enjoy the hobby for what it is. Like we all collect cards for the sake of collecting cards.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Like, I saw something, I don't know if it was one of you guys or something on Instagram. It was like, I flip cards to build my PC, right? Like, I think that's so, like, half of my collection now is what I would say is long-term PC / investment, and the other half is like, let's flip it over, to fund that, or, to keep it moving, Plus, if you're somebody like me, I just like getting new stuff in the mail.
That's true. Mail days are nice.
That's an addiction. It's like every time I go out for a race and I'm on the road for like a week, just buy, and I come home, it's just like, package day. Then I'm in trouble. So, quick question for Alex, since you're a Tiger Woods PC guy. I finally invested in 2001 Tiger Woods #1. What are you seeing, especially with the video of Tiger hitting the ball again? How are you seeing that market? Do you feel like it's going to slowly come up as soon as he gets back into the course? Is it going to be, Tiger Storm all over again, kind of like when we saw that first bump a couple months ago?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, but when he got in that car accident, his stuff like tripled like overnight. Like BGS 10 #1s were going for like $2,000. And now they're down to what, 600-700 on a BGS 10. I think with his market, I'm betting on being undervalued in terms of the GOAT conversation, right? Like I think he's the most undervalued GOAT. I was listening, I don't know what it was, the radio or something the other day, and they were talking, Tiger Woods could potentially be the, most influential athlete like ever, and he's popular worldwide. And I think that's more so of what I'm betting on is people realizing, hey, there's this guy who's, in my opinion, the most dominant athlete to ever play a sport in terms of just pure dominance over the competition. Hey, and he changed the game of golf, and he changed, culture and all sorts of, stuff, kind of like MJ did with his shoes and LeBron's doing and stuff like that. But I do think that as he nears a return, I was so happy to see that swing video. One, because I enjoy watching him play golf, but two, it was like, okay, hey, my gut is telling me he's going to come back, or at least, give it a go. And I think the hype building up to that can certainly see a jump. And man, if he gets in contention or he somehow figures out a way to win and get number 83, I mean, I think I think it's gonna be just like it did after he got in the car accident. So
83 is most all time.
yeah, yep. So
People forget
you
that.
know,
Well, he's one win away from
Mhm.
having the most wins ever.
yep, it's tied right now. So
One win.
So how do you feel like the golf market in general? Because not just, Tiger, are you seeing or do you feel that, as Tiger gets back onto the course, does that help everybody's stuff? Maybe
100%.
DeChambeau, maybe, because
yeah,
even I'm getting more into it, especially I opened a box of 2021 OPC Hockey Platinum. And you know what? That was a fun damn rip just to open up a hobby box and just see some different stuff. And now I'm searching for like, O2 Upper Deck golf and, SP Authentic golf, something different that's enjoyable. And, you might pull what did I see? Like a Jack Nicklaus, tournament worn patch hat auto or something like that. Like, something that's different, but still, to true collectors seems to be, great. You think that market is going to continue to start moving forward as, the Tiger train might get back on the track?
yeah, I'm with Neil. I think 100%. I mean, they say about moving the needle. I mean, Tiger is kind of the needle in golf, right? Viewership kind of speaks for itself, and interest speaks for itself. I mean, do you just remember how hectic it was when he won the Masters in 2019? I mean, that was something, incredible. And his swing video got 8 million views on social media within a couple hours. And it's like, when he's back and people, the casual fans watching, you may get a casual fan, see Phil Mickelson and want his SP Authentic rookie auto, or, a guy who I think has stupid potential is Colin Morikawa, just based on his similarities in game to the elite players. I think Tiger being relevant and playing and, if he's in contention is going to just, create the interest. For sure. Plus, it's a global game, and I mean, gosh, I'm surprised it doesn't have a stronger market as it is, because I mean, people around the world play it, and anybody can pretty much play golf, and so I'm surprised that the interest isn't there. But it's obviously not as big of a sport as kind of the big 3 or 4. So
It's what all us retired athletes do.
that's right.
Once the sport retires us, we all go and take up.
But it does have the the global game. It's like an F1 product. No one was thinking F1 cards until people started watching the Netflix series, and bam, now hobby boxes jump up $800. So it could catch up something like that. The Jordan documentary, what it did for Jordan cards. The Williams sisters, the tennis documentary, or the movie that's coming out with Will Smith, what that's going to start doing to those Net Pro 2003 cards. I sold 2 of those today. Like, just sometimes, either it be a social media video, a documentary, a Netflix series, something that pushes that market into, common people's visions, even though I've been watching F1 for years, and now it seems like everybody I know watches F1. I mean, I'm in professional racing for my life. That's what I do. And it's just like, how are you just now figuring about this? And so, no, I think that I think good, exciting things for golf. And, like you said, we're retired athletes who try to play golf. That's why you should
It's the
support.
one sport you can never win.
That's true.
You can't ever beat it.
Nope.
No.
So, no. I volunteer assistant golf at a Division III college, and I do it just because I really like it and like being around the game. But man, it's a tough sport and it's a grind. But I think it's got that draw. So.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
Hey, Alex,
So-
I have a question for you in terms of golf. I'm just curious, do you think golfers do a good enough job of promoting themselves? For example, right, the UFC's had a big come up since quarantine. The Covington Usman fight, right? Like, there's a lot of drama stirred to sell fights and stuff. I just don't see much about golfers in terms of personal branding, being in the media. Is that happening and I'm just not realizing it, or is that something the sport needs to do to attract attention of younger viewers?
I
You
might
know
have a
what?
different opinion than Alex here, but I'll let Alex.
Yeah. So, uh, I think they're trying. They introduced that that PIP, bonus for like social media activity and popularity and like that, because they're trying to grow the popularity. And the beef between Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka, tried to kind of give it that competitive nature, and it was in the headlines for a few weeks. But I think it's hard, when everybody compares themselves to Tiger, right? And what he was doing, he was in Nike's commercials, and he was always out there and being so popular. And no one has had that kind of draw since. Rory has been in some commercials and has that kind of a little bit of that draw. But I don't know what it is, if it's the PGA Tour restricting it, but it just doesn't somehow get that. I don't know. I don't know if it's because it's not a contact sport, like UFC, where you can talk trash and then go out there, bust the other person's face in, and that makes it more exciting. I don't know. I'd be curious what Neil has to say.
I will say, yes, I think the PGA does a not great job at marketing their athletes, but I will say they also don't have, the athletes aren't the kind of people who would put themselves in that position to draw a market. So like Tiger did that. Tiger had all his commercials and whatnot, but Rory came along, Tiger and Rory commercials came out, and then you have that kind of beef going, not necessarily true beef, but it was more or less just trying to create a competition, which was great because it helped golf move along and maybe transition out of Tiger into Rory. And then Rory kind of had a hiccup. I think the problem right now with golfers is, other than Bryson and Brooks, all of them are friends. So it's very they're very like friendly towards each other, and they always support each other. So it's hard to really create a competitive spirit other than like the Ryder Cup, where you have nations competing against each other. You usually don't see that. You usually just see they're all supporting each other, and the best player goes out there and wins, because it's you against the course. It's not you against someone else. It's not match play. So maybe more match play needs to be involved. I don't know. Maybe that's a thought.
Yeah, I think match play draws out the best emotions in players for sure.
But I think the players themselves are too kind of buddy, if you will. And Tiger was probably the one guy who was like, no, we're just not going to be friends. Like, I'm just going to literally like score better than you and make you just like rethink your entire life after you played with me.
I think the PGA really dropped the ball this year, especially with the Bryson Brooksy controversy, because Bryson's the guy who you love, but you also love to hate. The reason being, he's the crushing 9 protein shakes a day on the course. He's trying to science the shit out of everything. And then he makes, he's making shots, and not by making shots, he's basically cutting the course, saying, I'm going to hit from the tee box across the water, not how it's supposed to be played, but try to make it over there. Hits it into the bunkers and go, well, these are the 3 worst bunkers on the entire tour. And it's, Jack Nicklaus's course. So there's your controversy built in right there, where even Jim Rome is talking about it on national media. If you're the PGA Tour, capitalize on that. Throwing fans out for chanting Brooksy when he walks by is a terrible idea.
Bring back the mashed potatoes.
Build that rivalry. You kind of want almost a Happy Gilmore versus Shooter McGavin type scenario.
Yes.
If you want the casual fan like that, you need to have a damn rock concert. It's not golf. You need guys like Shooter, and you need guys like Happy.
Bring in the giant ugly ogre and have him stand in the middle of fairway. Like, bring him on.
Yeah, it's hard because right now I think it's so stuck between the traditionalist, gentleman's game and then these, people like us who have ideas that would just, put traditionalists and shambles.
Well, do you think that might be also the same reason why baseball is kind of losing its luster?
Yep.
Because they stuck with the traditionalists,
Yep.
and
And minimize
now their viewership sucks compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, and minimize kind of the showboating and, keep the old time attention. We can't throw it, you can't celebrate home runs and you can't, showboat at all. And then I think, the guys like Tatis and Acuna and stuff, that's what draws the casual fans in because they're so polarizing.
Yep.
Oh, I
Agreed.
deal with it every day in professional drag racing. Like the old heads from the 50s and 60s and 70s wanted to be like it was back in the day. Well, guess what? It's 2021. I work there and I don't want to stand out there all day in the hot sun watching these two cars go down there in less than 4 seconds. Like, you want to make some stuff exciting, listen to us who are, the newer generation. We're not going to take your drag racing sport and do away with it, but we're going to make it better. Trust me.
Yeah.
All right. Big question for Justin right now, because I've already commented on his Instagram about this. John Jones, the next greatest heavyweight champion of all time. What say you?
Oh man, John Jones. Guys just gotta. I'm just waiting for a fight announced at this point, Caleb. It's countless tweets. It's countless. He's doing like that grappling challenge I saw. I'm not super familiar with. But it's just getting to the point, right? So in the winter, it's gonna be 2 years since he's fought. His last 2 fights, he's looked shaky. So, and
Got
we're
kicked
seeing
out
the
of his
builds.
gym.
Yep, got kicked out of his gym. Found a new gym. He's training.
John Jones is the gym. Don't let that fool you.
Right. The one thing I will say is he looks a lot doughier than I was expecting. Compared to, I mean, you're looking at the other, heavyweights like Ngannou and such, and is John really going to be able to, grapple and do the things he did effectively at light heavyweight against these guys that are much, much, much stronger? So I love John Jones. I believe in him, but it's getting to the point where I think there needs to be a target date. There needs to be a fight. We got to see him in action.
I think John, his striking wise, he should be able to pick apart most guys in the heavyweight division. He'll still be able to move fast, even though he's putting on a bunch of weight. And I'll be 100% honest. Like he
didn't he used to walk around at like 230, but a fit 230 before he would cut down for his 205.
Yeah, because look at it. Look at his family.
He's 6'5" and like 3/4.
Arthur's ginormous. Arthur's 300 plus pounds.
Yep.
Chandler's ginormous. Obviously, it's put on, but he's doughy because he's not in a cycle. And I know that every professional fighter, every professional athlete cycles.
Yep.
So whether he's on D-ball, whether he's on, SARMs, whatever, he'll cycle right before the fight, and then he'll get shreddy whopped. But it's a lot to move up from. What is it? He wanted to walk around at like 260. Like that takes.
Well, I mean, he could fight at 230.
He could. And I mean, Crow Cop used to fight at 219, 220 at the heavyweight.
I mean, Cormier. Think about it. Cormier went up to heavyweight and gave a run. You don't think John Jones can go up to heavyweight and give it a run?
And he's a lot better striker. He'll be able to out wrestle everything. The only, I think he runs through Stipe. Stipe's chin's been tested way too much.
Yep.
Ngannou's a kind of a. It's kind of a puzzle because he's like Deontay Wilder. He has the bomb. If he lands the bomb, you're in trouble. But if you weather the storm, such as Stipe did the first time, and take him down, or even Derek Lewis and stalemate him, you could probably pick him apart a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see very many contenders in the heavyweight division that would be able to stop John. And think about,
John's a very smart fighter too. I think people forget that part is he's very, very technical. He sticks to his game plan, and that's why he wins. He's very methodical. But
now him getting kicked out of Winklejohn or out of Jackson Wink, that does kind of scare me. Because, putting those game plans together is a, Mike Winklejohn, Jackson camp. Now he's at Figueiredo's gym now. So, I don't know. You'll see. If John Jones is focused, John Jones is the best of all time. And it's a good time to start investing in some John Jones cards.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the thing is, looking at the UFC and what's considered like a nice card, right? There's not a ton of UFC product out there. This year was kind of the inaugural Prism year. They dropped Select. Chronicles kind of helped, get a bunch of product out there. But prior to that, there's a lot of Topps paper products. There's a lot of sticker autos. There's a few things that are like technically fight worn. Most of it's fighter material, worn, like a player worn type equivalent. So that's kind of what I think is once a fight gets announced with John, all it takes is 500 people to go onto eBay and look up some stuff. There's really not a ton of stuff out there, especially like his rookies and some of that other stuff's pretty short printed.
And with I think Amanda Nunes fights this weekend, and I was able to pick up, when the UFC first did that Prism run, I was able to get a out of 99 orange, and I think I got it pretty cheap. I think I got it for $50-$60. So it'd be interesting to see pre-fight what kind of numbers those do, because she's the greatest women's fighter probably of all time with the most power. I think she could knock out most people in the welterweight division. So that would be interesting. But the other interesting part is seeing how invested Panini is going with the UFC in the next couple years. Like you're going to see a lot of UFC products, getting pumped out by Panini. And obviously, with the licenses going away from the big three, let's say, hockey obviously still with Upper Deck, hasn't wavered yet, but
Upper Deck signed a contract extension with hockey.
All right, that's good.
They're
So
staying.
Upper Deck staying with hockey, but I feel like Panini's shifting their focus towards the UFC. So we're going to see, because I saw Immaculate's coming out or already has come out. So stuff like that. Are we going to see UFC Flawless? Are we going to see UFC National Treasures? Like,
Do you think they're expanding that because they've lost the contracts for everything else?
yes,
Hmm.
yes.
So
They
maybe this
definitely
is
do.
their only way of trying to recoup what they've lost.
Well, what did we say? What did we say when it first came out? When we said Panini's going to start just dumping products out there because they're going to have to they want to make as much money as they can before they're out of the game.
Yeah, I think, is it next year or 2023 when Fanatics can start doing they can start releasing product that is not
Licensed?
licensed, but it can be their trial run products.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially get some feelers out there.
Mm-hmm. So I think UFC or Panini tries to get, a UFC, they got the UFC license, try to think of maybe some other things if they could get, and it'd be hard because Leaf is pretty good with that. What's popular right now? Fighting. People love people getting punched in the face, whether it be boxing, whether it be the UFC. If you can get those two licenses, boxing's a little bit harder. There's a moneymaker for a good set of fans.
F1 is still going to be big.
But it's still going to be Topps.
I think it's crazy
Yeah.
the impact that Panini has though is if you look at some like the UFC cards, right? Like I was kind of looking at just randomly came up on my eBay. There's a TJ Dillashaw red ink auto from Topps. It's out of 15. It's like $900 or best offer. And then I looked at some like the Prism Dillashaws that were selling. There's a non-numbered white sparkle for like 200. Just some of if you compare some of the rookies and like the true iconic cards of that player to just what the most recent Prism is, a lot of times from an investment standpoint, there's quite the gap. And you see a lot of just the Prism hype beasts or people that come from other
Absolutely.
sports and are familiar with it, just transitioning their money over.
Absolutely.
I will say people have enjoyed National Treasures and like Flawless Baseball, even though it's an unlicensed product.
Mhm.
I think Panini's done, or what I've heard, I don't do baseball, but what I've heard is they're pretty good at making those products and making those products at an affordable price, but also getting the autos and patches and things that
Mhm.
make it better. and make it more appealing. So if they can stick with that and use that kind of material to create like fight worn autos, patch autos, or something like that, maybe that's how you get into the market and you set a standard, because you got to find a niche. And if people really want the true rookie or true rookies and rookie autos, then what's the next best thing? Maybe fight worn patch autos, you know?
Mhm.
It's kind of like Tom Brady. Everybody wants a Tom Brady rookie, but if they can't have that, they want the patch auto, right? Or an auto. So I don't know. I think there's a market to be had there. How it plays out, I'm not sure. We'll see.
I mean, the time will tell. It's just like there's one card on my slabs that I look at all the time. Crow Cop's my favorite fighter, but it's a Japanese card from Pride, and I think it's a PSA 9. They want like $750 for it. I'm just like, oh, that's a PC card. Do I really want to spend my money into it?
Sounds like you got to sell another Braun BGS 10 silver to get that one, right?
You better pull one for me.
Can't find product.
We're out of that game, thank God.
Yeah.
But
we adapt.
so let's go around. Like one more question for everybody. If there's one card that you're searching for that would be on your either PC list or want to get list that you might be making moves for right now, what is it? Mine, and Neil knows this, I'm moving things to get a 79 Wayne Gretzky OPC. So that's my next card on my checklist that I want. I got my Tiger rookie. I got my Ric Flair rookie. I'm going Gretzky hockey now, and then we'll start moving into the basketballs because that's going to take a longer time, and especially with a child on the way.
A lot more money.
I'm going to be broke as shit for a while. So, so Neil, what are you moving towards next?
Well, I'll share this. I haven't posted it yet, but I
Wait, you're supposed to tell us a story about some guy coming to your house to give you cash.
Was it the refractor I bought?
You didn't tell me. You said you were going to tell it this next podcast about somebody driving from Nashville.
Oh yeah. So last week I bought I messaged a guy on Facebook. He posted it a while back. I talked to you and I talked to Justin and Alex about this. Some guy sold me Topps Chrome Curry refractor. He drove to my town. He drove to Columbus from Nashville, sold me the card. So we're going to get it regraded. It was a PSA 7, but I think it was undergraded. I think we'll try and figure out a way to bump it. And then, hold on to some Curry. Curry looks like an MVP candidate, and that team looks like a champion right now. So, that's the quick story. But I just picked these up, and these are Aaron Donald Gold Explosive. So this one's out of 10. Aaron Donald doesn't have a lot of cards, so PC cards are hard to come by. And then this one came in the mail on Saturday. This is the green. I don't know if you can see it really well, but it's out of, it's a 101. So I got the Explosive Rainbow, which was the case hit from Absolute this year. I'm still trying to find a Gold Kaboom. That's probably my number one on my list, but I picked up some Currys, and I'm trying to, move some things to try and get some more Tom Brady stuff. I think Brady is a safe investment, but I think I've come to appreciate a little bit more of his true goathood and how good he is comparatively to the rest of the market. I got a few things. So
cool.
Those are probably the two ones. Oh, here's another thing. I finally picked one up. Marshawn Lynch game used patch auto.
Nice.
That'll get posted here soon.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Alex, what are you looking for?
Oh man, what am I looking for? I'd like to get a nice LeBron game used auto at some point. Just on card auto, just to have, since he's one of my favorite athletes, and I think long term that's a rock solid card. A card that I've always wanted since he was a rookie was a Russell Wilson True NTRPA. National Treasures, True. And I think, it might be the time come this off season or something, because right now he's pretty cheap, and the way he's playing right now isn't great. So it could just keep falling. But those are so hard to come by. And, I'm in a Seahawks group on Facebook, and those guys just gobble up every Russ. I mean, there are guys with, in some insane Russ collections. It's like, well, no wonder why they're never available. And then, I'm always going to go after Tiger rookie autos if I can find them for a good price or a good trade. So those are kind of the three things that I'm going for. Certainly not Zion.
Oh, we're still getting to that. We'll wait till the end.
All right, Justin, what are you going after?
Yeah, as these guys probably know, I've been really wanting to get a nice Dwayne Wade, fringe top 20 player of all time. He's got the 3 NBA championships, the Finals MVP, 13-time All-Star, so longevity, pretty progressive, positive influence in the media, other than his dunk contest judging. But anyway, his stuff's pretty cheap. I was looking at like a Topps Contemporary, the LeBron kind of fadeaway, the shiny one. The Dwayne Wade version, it was red out of 225. There's a raw copy that sold for $143. So I just think it was selling for like $500 at the beginning of the year. So it seems like for some reason D Wade got hit pretty hard in this recent dip. And obviously anytime LeBron stuff documentaries come out, he's going to be tied to that. So I'm looking at anywhere from that up to like maybe an exquisite, RPA, just depending on trades and what's available. Lower end stuff, I'm just looking to get more into the UFC. Amanda Nunes is obviously on my mind. Maybe Caleb, you'd have a better opinion on this, but I'm in this kind of little UFC group that just formed. I'll actually send you the invite if you're interested, just a group chat on Instagram. And we had a decent debate today just about, is Nunes' fight style and competition level, is she too good to be collectible versus like Thug Rose, who's very likable, grits her way through. Because if you look at the values between the two, Thug Rose actually outsells her in some things.
Mm-hmm.
So just trying to understand that market, make sure I'm focused on the GOATs and some of the lower end stuff like Amanda, like, John Jones, of course. Maybe get like a nice Daniel Cormier. I really like him.
I do think Amanda is she's good right now because there's the lack of women that fight her style. The only one you could compare it to is Cyborg, and obviously she's in a different company now. But there's a couple girls that I think in the next couple years are gonna, maybe even sooner than that, might make the transition over. One fights for PFL, and the other I think is Carissa Shields.
Mm-hmm.
Carissa Shields is a former Olympic boxing champion, and I think go toe to toe with Amanda, it'd be pretty interesting. And then the other is a white girl from PFL. I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but I believe she's a judo Olympic champion also. It's the same thing with like Ronda Rousey. It just takes that one kick, that one punch, especially in 4-ounce gloves, to change the outcome of anything. Now, I think Rose is that division is so jumbled up because of Weili, Rose. There's just so many people that the belt could change hands to. So there's no, George St. Pierre. There's no, Kamaru Usman. That's a debate for the other time. Craig was all on me about the Kamaru Usman versus George St. Pierre, who's the greatest of all time.
It's GSP.
It's GSP, 100%.
GSP would lay on top of him and stick his wiener all over his face for 5 rounds.
Yes, thank you, Caleb. So she's a free agent now. Kayla Harrison. She fights at 155, but I'm sure if the money's right, she'll get down. She's a big old girl, but if the money's right, you'll cut that weight. So Kayla Harrison's the girl that I'm thinking of. But yeah, the UFC. I think the UFC market's coming up. I'm going to be heavily into Amanda Nunes. I was on that Yair guy. Last name starts with a P, but he's fighting soon. But he's too weird, I think. He's got an opportunity to get freaking jaw jacked. But Neil, I'll let you finish your Zion questions. So go ahead, go off on Zion and your KFC 300-pound looking like Booger McFarland boy.
Booger might be less. He might weigh less than Zion. I'm just putting that out there. My question is, what a time to pull Zion right now, when he's 300 pounds, probably eats way too many cheeseburgers, does nothing but sit on at home naked on a beanbag eating Cheetos, and someone pulls the Zion logo man.
And it was in China.
Yeah. Which, I mean, those guys, I mean, believe it or not, the Eastern Asian countries, basketball's huge. Like I've sold a lot of cards to like Australia, the Philippines, China, Japan. Just it's a huge market over there, and I think it's an untapped market. Definitely an untapped market that I think could potentially help. Just kind of diversify and maybe kind of grow a little bit from a maturation standpoint in basketball. But nonetheless, Zion. Alex, you love Zion. I hate Zion. I love Zion when 2019 because Zion was an overhyped clown and I loved making money off of him. Now LeBron looks more like an overpaid clown, but we won't get into that debate. Sometimes
he gets Pacers fans ejected from the game.
Yeah, I will say what they said though was it was wrong.
You've said a lot worse. You've sat next to me at Colts games.
I have. I have, but I also didn't say that to LeBron's face. There's a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I have some nice Zion. I mean, I have a Prism Silver PSA 10 and a Opticalo PSA 10 and, Silver Mosaic PSA 10, I think, and another one. So, I'm in fairly deep on some nice Zion and it sucks because, I mean, when you watch him play, he's really, really good. But the concerns of weight and injuries coming out of college are coming to fruition early in his career, which, doesn't help from this market, especially how volatile, like you guys have said, it is now. It's hard to be mobile when you have a knee injury, and it hopefully, he learns that, hey, I should probably, diet when I'm, have a more strict diet when I'm not working out all the time. I don't know what it is and I don't want to really speculate on what it is, other than probably not working out and having a poor diet. But I see the potentials there. I mean, all-star starter in year two, one of the more polarizing athletes, to come out in a long time in terms of, hype and on SportsCenter every day. And, if he did anything in the game, it's getting shown. And so, that's kind of the potential that I saw. But looking at the numbers too, it's domination. And, if he gets unhappy and goes somewhere else, to a bigger market too, I think I could see a nice spike there, especially if he starts to win some games.
Yeah, he's got to get that weight down. If I'm just going to be nice and play nice for a moment, he needs to get his weight down. He needs to play at like 265. And he's got to do something a little bit more productive than playing around the basket at 6'6". He's got to maybe take it up the court and play point a little bit, maybe develop a little bit of some more, like, I don't know, point guard attributes. Just because in today's NBA, that's going to work better.
And I know
he's a freak athlete, but
they started to do that last year with him, right?
Yeah.
Like he was taking the ball up a little bit. In the last month or so, he was, attempting more jumpers, and he kind of had this, there's a few highlights out there of this kind of turnaround, jumper that he was hitting at a fairly decent clip at the end of last year. And, maybe since he hasn't been able to run, we can hope that maybe he's been shooting a lot, right? And you've seen guys come in the league with not a great jumper and then develop a decent one. I mean, I would say LeBron's one of those guys, right? Who, when he came in, was really just athletic around the, drove for the basket. And, now, gosh, you watch them, the Pacers game, the guy's hitting step back, 35 footers. You wouldn't see that in those early years. So, I
But
think there's still time.
Do you think Zion will succeed if he doesn't have his bounce?
No, at this stage in his career, I would say no. Because he plays the bully ball.
I think that's the biggest part of Zion being 6'6" is his bounce is what carries him. So once the bounce goes, or you have too many knee injuries or ankle injuries or foot injuries, you're not going to have that bounce anymore.
Yep.
You're not able to do that, then you're not going to be as dominant in what you should be the most dominant at.
If Charles Barkley is worried, and Charles Barkley came out and said that on NBA Tonight, coming from a guy who had a weight problem, like if he's having a weight problem and lower body injuries already in his career, like he's a big injury waiting to happen. And I think the other thing that kind of helps Zion collecting wise is the 20,000 PSA 10 stat that came out.
That's
tough. Thank goodness I don't own any base.
Yeah,
made a lot of money off base, but
they were producing 2020 or 2019 product into like the midway through the season of 2020 and 2021.
They're still doing the same for this
LaMelo. Yeah, I know
If I only would have never opened up all that product that I bought, and I would have just like kept it in the corner.
Oh yeah, I know. We all would have been having.
We would have been meeting up in our private jets somewhere.
Okay.
That's right. Just got to stop opening up product.
Just got to stop being greedy. But to each his own. All right. So another great podcast. Got to thank, Squint Sports Cards, Justin, Robbie's _sports cards, Alex for coming on. Guys, follow them on Instagram. They're a great follow. Get to see a bunch of top-notch sports cards that are pretty damn awesome. Again, thank our sponsors, Slab Savers, protectyourslabs.com. Got to go to gradedship.com for graded card solutions so you can protect your cards when you ship them. Sell your cards not on eBay because you don't want to pay 12 or 13% when you sell it, because it sucks when you're supposed to get $4,000 and you get like $2,500 and you're like, what did I go to the casino? Go to prospect.cards. So www.prospect.cards. If you use our referral code, which is Dream3, you get 2 months at 0% for your seller's fee. And after that, it goes up no more than 2 or 5%. So it's really, really cheap. Move your stuff on there. And finally, we talked golf today. We need more golf in our podcast. We will get more golf. Nation Golf Company. That's nationgolfco.com. If you love the golden age of golf, follow them on Instagram. Follow them on Twitter, on Facebook. Great company. We'll try to get Adam Hawk on here sometime. So once again, Alex, Justin, thank you guys for your time. Neil, again, we will see everybody next week with another guest we're working on. So until next time, guys, thank you again for joining us, and we will catch you on the flip side.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.